Hi, I'm Kurt Diggins for The World Amongst Us. Today, I'm at the pioneer log cabin home of Abraham Lincoln and Dr. Werner von Braun, two great men from two different centuries, each the respective fathers of their own country. Now, I know some of you might think that I'm crazy saying that these two great men grew up together. What I'm about to show you has only been recently declassified and has been a hotbed of controversy, sarcasm, and innuendo. Our story begins 1,000 years ago. In 1863, Abraham Lincoln is born into a world out of control. Ironically, that same world will last for his absolute iron control years later during the Spanish Civil War. A little known fact regarding Lincoln's birth was that he was joined at the hip to his identical twin, Kit Carson, the famous scout and Indian fighter. Separated by whatever was handy at the time, both parents and children died before ever admitting this event took place. The boys had a wonderful, boisterous childhood growing up in the pioneer days in their log cabin home. Internet cybersex would not be around for another 130 years, so they filled their days throwing rocks at squirrels and ducks. But soon Abe's mind turned to other more noble pursuits. It was during these early teen years that he became obsessed with rail splitting. The old rail splitter, they called him, and a truer nickname was unavailable. Just when he was sure that he had split the largest rail in history, his older brother Kit, always taunting, his face almost completely grown back, would appear with an even larger rail. "Try splitting this one, jerkwad," he'd say. Undaunted, Abe would rise up and split any rail. Once, Kit even came back with a piece of ironwood from one of his trips to Indian Territory, but nothing seemed to faze his kid brother Abe.
In 1898, Kit Carson returned with a log he swore no man could split. Abraham Lincoln, only 15, was eager to split this new type of wood. Unknown to either Abraham or Kit Carson was that this log was from the petrified forest in Arizona, and this particular piece of petrified wood had absorbed an unusual amount of uranium, forming a barely stable core.
2 days of fruitless hammering went by Abraham Lincoln. However, upon the right angle, with the right amount of force, detonation occurred. Abraham Lincoln woke up 4 years later in the Mayo Clinic's coma ward.
Having lost all memory prior to the explosion, the hospital staff, as was customary at the time, told Lincoln he had a promising political career and should resume it as soon as possible. The rest of his path we all know quite well. However, when questioned to this day, Lincoln still cannot recall anything of his dear brother, Kit Carson.
Kit Carson was vaporized in an atomic fireball along with the log cabin and many rails. How could Kit Carson vanish from the face of the earth before he became famous? It was a paradox that a young America either did not want to face or had no time for.
Berlin, 1957. Some countries did have time for paradoxes, especially if it meant feeding atomic secrets to a hungry, unstoppable Nazi war plan. An infant toddler was smuggled into the United States with plans to inhabit the old log cabin and to relay any and all information on Kit Carson.
Who was that young spy infant? That toddler was none other than Dr. Werner von Braun. And that brings us full circle. Until next time, I'm Kurt Diggins for The World Amongst Us.